Hey everyone, Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk about Heartstopper, which is a graphic novel turned TV series. I really love the graphic novel, I'm a big fan of it, and I also really adored the TV series. I think it remained very true to the origin, and I only have one bad thing to say about it, which is it's criminally short. It's a criminally short TV show. And if you love the show the way I did, I'm sure you share my point of view. So today I decided to help you fill the void that Heartstopper left in your heart, and recommend you some books that have the same vibe or themes. In general, I tried to pick young adult, light-hearted queer romances, and I hope you're going to pick up and like them. The first book that I'm going to talk about is in the top charts of my favorites. It's The Summer of Jordi Perez by Spalding. I stand this book so hard. It's been years and years since I read it, and I remember so many things from it. I remember how exhilarated it made me feel because it is genuinely so good. The story is about two teenage girls, Abby and Jordi. They both fight for the internship at the local clothing store that they both adore. One of them is a wannabe stylist, the other one is a wannabe photographer, so it's paramount for them to get their hands on this internship. The owner of the store can't choose between them, so she picks them both and gives them an internship. The problem is, at the end of it, there's only one actual place, and they both really want it. So that's how their story starts. But since I'm recommending you young adult contemporary romances, you already figured out that it's going to be a romance. All good fictional romances start with a little bit of a rivalry. Well, it is not the same dynamic as in the Heartstopper, because the Heartstopper is the opposites attract, friends to lovers romance. In this case, they're also opposites. They're also attracted to each other, but they are rivals. Although they do realize that they really love spending time with each other and become friends and eventually lovers. This book is like a perfect summer scone of ice cream, and I devoured it in a couple of days. I loved it so much. One of the girls named Abby, who is the stylist, has a blog where she talks about fashion for bigger bodies because she herself is curvy. And her mother is one of those health, lifestyle, food type of bloggers. So they have a very tense relationship because of her mother's constant picking on her. This whole storyline was very, very interesting as well. I highly recommend this book. My other absolute favorite that I've read in 2021 and that I immediately put into my top is She Drives Me Crazy by Quindlen. This book made a bit of a noise on BookTube, and for a good reason, because it is phenomenal. The first protagonist you're introduced to is Scotty. She's a basketball player, which is an ungrateful sport. Most sports are ungrateful when it comes to female teams. She really loves it though, but she hopes that someday it's gonna be a bit more popular. Her ex-girlfriend was also on the team at some point, but she left to another school and their relationship became sour. The second character is Ren. She's a cheerleader and is pretty popular in school. She and Scotty share a brief history, an unpleasant brief history, because at some party they got into a bit of a fight, but it was a misunderstanding. At the start of the novel, they get into an accident on the parking lot, bump into each other on their cars. One of their cars needs repairs, so their mothers decide that they're going to use the car that is left, basically give each other rides to the school. That marks the start of an unwilling cooperation between them. They do have some prejudices against each other, but as they spend more and more time together, together, of course they realize that they have things in common and actually kind of like each other maybe. It doesn't immediately develop into a romance, but they do become reluctant friends. And one day Scotty proposes for them to fake date to make her ex-girlfriend jealous. And they do. Oh, they do. This book has such a fun atmosphere. To me, the high school experience and the hijinks felt very authentic. I really like those parts. I also love that this book is full of romance tropes and it doesn't feel like it's too much. I was making inhuman noises when I read this book because it was incredibly cute, and I'm rarely vocal when I read books, so I recommend it. Please read it if you have not already. Another book that I really liked from the archives, Running with Lions by Julian Winters. I feel like at some point I've been constantly recommending it on my channel, and then it kind of faded out because I got tired of talking about it and I felt like you were getting tired of listening about it. Running with Lions, and I guess most books on this list, have this energy. It's Heartstopper energy. I cannot explain it. It's just one of those books that are filled with sunshine. It doesn't hurt that it's a summer camp book. Running with Lions is about Sebastian, who every single year goes to a summer soccer camp. And this year is supposed to be his last, so he wants to squeeze out every single minute, every single experience. But this year, everything is different because his long-lost friend named Amir also comes to the summer camp. They have a complicated history because they were best friends when they were younger, but then Amir's family moved to England. They both, although they do not admit it, started ghosting each other, and each of them blames the other for how the relationship turned out. Sebastian is trying to ignore Amir and their past, but Amir is everywhere and it's really nagging at him. All the feelings from his past come back and he doesn't know what to do with it. Obviously, they have to confront each other, and they do. Sebastian also is bisexual, and he struggles with his weight, which is also a part of the story. And Amir is kind of an enigma. Sebastian develops a crush on him, or rather he realizes that he always kind of had a crush on him, and he's trying to figure out if Amir feels the same way. This is such a lovely book. You would expect it to have a lot of angst, but I don't really think it's very angsty. Despite the friends to enemies to friends to lovers dynamic that is a part of the story, when I was reading it, I had flashbacks to my own summer camp experiences when I was a teenager. So this book is delightful. Read it. Obviously, I have to include in this list You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson, which is also fairly lighthearted, lowering the angst in the romance, and a pretty fun book about Liz who wants to become a prom queen to get a grant and go to college. Because apparently in her school, if you get the title of prom queen or prom king, you get funding. Her family cannot afford to send her to college, so she decides to take matters into her own hands, even though the institute, I don't know if I can call it an institute, but let's roll with it. The Institute of Prom Royalty seems too patriarchal and outdated to her. She's not interested in it at all. The money rules though, and she has to participate. First of all, this book has a focus on incredible friendships, which is always an enjoyable part of young adult novels for me and novels in general. Second of all, it also has a pretty sweet romance because Liz also falls for a girl named Mac, and their relationship is tooth-achingly sweet. I love them. I enjoyed the story. It's a quintessential teenage romantic contemporary. A book that not many people have heard about, but I really enjoyed, is One Man Guy by Michael Barakiva. It's also on the younger side of young adult, which is an interesting outlier. These days it's really hard to find young adult books about 15-year-olds, for example. I feel like every single book I read, at best they are 16. It's not that I'm hunting for these books. It's just good for teenagers specifically to be able to find books with characters their age. Alec, the protagonist, is 15. I might be mistaken. It's been a while, but I do remember that he's younger than usual young adult protagonists. His parents are of the strict variety, and they are not pleased with his grades. So they decide that he's going to go to summer school. He doesn't really want to go. Imagine spending your summer in school. This sounds horrific to me. But instead, he meets a guy named Ethan and develops a crush on him. This book has an element, the same element that Heartstopper has, where one of the characters has a crush on the other character and they don't know if the feelings are reciprocated. They start spending more and more time together and they both have a crush on each other, but they are just clueless. It's a very sweet, very cutesy story, and that's why you're here, right? So we're almost at the finish line. Queerleaders by Guel, another book that you probably have not heard about. It was released by a smaller press and it's an FF young adult romance, which is hilarious. I loved it so much. If you're looking for something funny specifically and short, pick this one up. It's a story about Mackenzie, who has a crush on a popular cheerleader. She is exchanging notes with her friend where she talks about this girl, and this note gets intercepted by the cheerleader's boyfriend. The boyfriend outs her, which is the annoying part of the story, but it's not angsty. Mackenzie is humiliated though, and she acts on her emotions. She says that she's not only going to kiss or go out, I don't remember the details, with the cheerleader that she has a crush on. She's going to do these things with every single cheerleader in the school squad. She doesn't really have the strategy, but because her pride is wounded and she wants to prove to everyone that she's desirable, she goes with it. And surprisingly, it works. The story is so funny. It's like watching a teen comedy. The protagonist is very likable, and also she actually develops a romantic relationship that is real in this book, and the relationship is so sweet. The last book that I'm going to recommend doesn't have a romantic relationship. It has some romance in it. It's mostly focused on friendship, and that is its strongest element in my opinion. I think it was endearing to me because of the friendships. It's Jack of Hearts and Other Parts by 𝕊𝕆𝕀𝔸𝕃 Rosen. I really enjoyed this one as well. It follows Jack, as you figure it out. He's openly gay and openly fabulous. He always says what he wants to say. He knows who he is and who he wants to be. He's very confident, and one of his friends offers him to participate as a content creator in her blog. Since he's very open about dating a lot of different guys, and in general is very confident about romantic and sexual escapades, they decide that he's going to answer questions about romance, sex ed, relationships, etc. And then surprisingly, in the school setting, it leads to something unpleasant. Someone starts stalking him and writing him very, very creepy notes. And he's trying to figure out the identity of this person. Now, this book is a bit different. It's not a romance, it's not Heartstopper. It has some elements of it. I would say that the friendship and the atmosphere in school is very that. The friendship especially, it's very close. If you read all the books that I've mentioned previously and you want something similar but something different at the same time, maybe that's gonna be an ideal pick for you. These are all the books I want to recommend to you if you really enjoyed Heartstopper and want to read something similar. In the comment section, tell me about cutesy romances, cutesy queer romances. I personally prefer adult romances, so if they're adult it's better, but if it's a young adult contemporary romance and it's funny, let me know. This is it for today. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a heart emoji in your favorite color. And on this note, I will see you soon with another video, but until then,